So let's talk the other big hitter, the big surprise in the month of August on crowdfunding. If you're not familiar with Cardboard Alchemy's Flamecraft, well, I don't know how you got in watching this video, but if you are familiar with it, it's on Kickstarter right now. It is raising a ton of money. I think it has blown out, fair to say, any expectation that was had originally. But as with all high name, high profile, high funding dollar amount crowdfunding board games in our hobby, I think that also warrants a deeper look, and it puts it under a little bit more of a microscope. So let's talk. Should you be backing Flamecraft? And let's be honest here. If you had said at the end of the campaign, or even halfway through the campaigns, that Flamecraft would be outraising Iridia, going head to head with it, you would have been laughed off of most board game hobbyist sites. But lo and behold, as things wind down, Flamecraft is ahead by about 300,000, about 20% more than what Iridia has at this point. So, why? Let's take a look. Pros, cons, what you need to know. Again, this video is not to just hype. This video is to inform, because the purpose of this video is to make sure the right games are getting in your hands if they're right for you. And if they're not for you, well, I don't want you to waste your money on them. Well, waste. You know what I mean. I don't want you to spend money on games that you're not going to play in your collection. I want games that you want to have and you like, and you can get to the table and you can play. That's the purpose of this video. Let's take a look. So like I said, right here, first and foremost, Iridia. Much less, actually. Flamecraft. 1 to 5 players, what do you need to know in this magical realm where dragons are helping make things, instead of the typical trope of destroying things? Well, let's talk about just what you need to know right at the beginning here. $25,000 goal, nearly as many backers as the actual dollar goal. That's insane. And if you watched my Iridia video, I'm going to start right here with the same thing. More people means more turnover, which means potentially less price point concerns on the secondary market. Because again, if you're backing this on Kickstarter, on crowdfunding, why are you doing that is the first question. What is going to be gained as opposed to waiting to retail? Because let's be honest again, retail, this is not going to be $40. Because if you go down below, when we look at the stretch goals, there are very few exclusives. I believe the exclusives are mostly art prints. All of the additional gameplay is non-exclusive. So it's going to be in this standard edition. Yeah. So what is $40 going to get you in this campaign? Because that's the difference between the deluxe. Because if you are going to get a game on crowdfunding, a retail versus deluxe, this one falls true. You're always going to get the deluxe. At least you're where I'm from in the locale of North America. Now, if you're not, all bets are off. You guys, I'll let you guys debate the VAT. I can only speak on my experience, my neck of the woods. And that is the retail versus the deluxe. And for this area, this locale, it's deluxe every single time. Almost every single time. There's a few exceptions. But what are you getting? 6 full-color miniature dragons, okay? Miniatures, non-gameplay. Upgrade coins to metal in a cloth bag. Well, you know how I feel about metal coins if you've watched any of my other videos. Upgrades to custom painted wood. Again, I've had my concerns about custom painted wood pieces. I don't think they sell as well on the secondary market. I've run into too many games where people are unwilling to pay the higher price point. I'm looking at you, Monsterlands. Game trays, great, great, great. I don't care. Limited print run, like, that's not something you put under a pledge level. That's it. And 17,000 of the 20,000 are at that. And that's, I don't know, I should start keeping track of the ratio, but I mean, what is that? That's 85%. 85% of your backers are at the deluxe level. So there you go. So let's talk about the actual campaign itself. No one is going to debate this. video is not talking about whether or not this is a pretty game to look at. This is a very pretty game. Few of the games that get this level or half of this amount of money are, artistically speaking, not pleasing aesthetically. So I think that goes out the window when you talk about something like this. Like, they're all beautiful in their own way. Like, duh. They're going to be if you're going to raise this much money. You can't have an ugly product and raise $1 million. You just can't. It goes hand in hand. So what do you need to know? Okay, you're gathering these resources and you're completing these quests. This is, as people say, a lighter style worker placement game. And I think that's the first point that I would drive home is, do you have a niche or a slot in your collection that you can fit this into as a lighter worker placement style game over other worker placement games of the same ilk? Now, I can't compare this head to head, but what if I just compared this to something like Castles of Burgundy, Champions of Midgard, you know? Games that have a well-established pedigree that you have at stock, at hand, very easily, that you can get for half this price. Or for Castles of Burgundy, potentially even less. That have stood the test of time, that you know where they stand. And that is always my first question when it comes to Euro worker placement style games on crowdfunding. Why this over established niche games? You can make an argument that a lot of the Ameritrash games are completely different than a lot of the things out there in different ways. But mechanistically speaking, with the Euros, they are all very similar in some senses. There is a lot more commonality in the Euro mechanisms than there are in the Ameritrash mechanisms often. And so that's why I think that argument holds up a little truer. Okay, quotes. Don't care. I mean, I think some of these are preview quotes. Epic levels of cuteness. I mean, I don't care about cuteness. That is not, my cuteness factor is not getting me, I'm not spending money for cuteness. 33 shops. Again, blew expectations out, so you're getting a ton of stuff. That's all the stuff you're getting. Again, here's the deluxe edition side of things. Again, it's cool to look at. Is it worth $40? That is what you have to ask yourself. Is this worth 2 of the base games to get these additional upgrades? And aesthetically, they're very pleasing. I won't lie. But that's the biggest question you have to ask yourself. If you don't care about this stuff right here, I'll tell you right now, don't watch the rest of the video. Well, do watch the rest of the video because, view counts and length time. And anyway, but the answer to your question is already no, I guess is what I'll say. Because this is what you're paying $40 for. It is. Are you okay with that? Is this worth $40? And people make a point, well, the metal coins are going to be $20 in any other campaign, and the 6 miniatures are going to be, $2 a miniature or $3 a miniature for this size. And no. I can't, I'm not going to math it out for you. Is it up here and up here worth it for you? If the answer is no, the answer is easy. Now, if you're still on the fence, though, what are you actually doing gameplay-wise? Because that's the other thing. And I've heard people's concerns, or I've heard people's pros. This is, like I mentioned, this is a lighter style. This is not a heavy game. If we hop over to the Board Game Geek page here a second, they are rating this a 2.25 overall. And now, I hate the rating system. I hate the weight system. But at least it gives you a bar or a metric to compare it to. And if you want to go to Castles of Burgundy, which I just compared it to, it's a 3. And I would have people from that side of things, I'm guessing, argue that this probably isn't really a 3. It's probably lower than that. So maybe it is more akin with this. Or should we compare it to the other 2 games that I mentioned? Lords of Waterdeep, a 2.46, and Champions of Midgard, a 2.6. So that is very comparable. Do you want a game that is lighter than either of those games? Lighter. Because I hear a lot of criticisms from those deeper in this side of things mechanistically that they don't think these games are quite heavy or deep enough, offering enough strategy, enough tactical nature. And if that is where you are and that's the type of game you like, well, projections have this game lighter than that already, at a higher price point than either of these, with an expansion included with either of these. And these are, solid games. I mean, look at the rankings on this. Not that rankings, again, are anything, but overall, they're well enjoyed. So are you better off because you're now slapping a dragon on it? That's what you have to ask yourself with comparisons. It's not a matter of are you getting enough stuff. If we hop over to this rule book here, we can see that it is really that simple and that straightforward. You go to a new shop. You either decide to gather or enchant, but not both. Gather. Get all the items that are present. Optional. Place one of your dragons in the empty slots. Or optional. Activate the powers. Or activate the shop ability as an optional. Or you can enchant. Select the enchantment card with an item type that matches the shop visited, and then just pay for it. Now, you can also expand the town, but that's it. That is basically almost the whole game there. This is an 8-page rulebook where there's a whole lot of other stuff in terms of the stores and the dragons, but that's the gameplay right there in a nutshell. Again, do you want that lighter style game? I think this would be great for an introductory next step up. That would be great. But I'll be honest, my kids aren't going to know the difference between a standee or a token and the actual plastic dragons. And if it's a gateway game for my kids to get them into something heavier, chances are they're going to phase out of it and age out of it relatively rapidly. So is it better for me to have an $80 copy of something like that, or something that is more akin to 25 to 30 at a retail level a year from now? That's the question. Exclusive, limited bonus art prints that we talked about. Again, a whole bunch of quotes, a whole bunch of add-ons. And again, these are cool. I would love to have a set of these sitting behind me in this shelf here. So if Cardboard Alchemy, you want to send me a set of these, I'd be all for it. You'd see them in my background. I'd love the heck out of them. But they don't do anything for me on a campaign. They just don't. I'm there for the game. I'm there for the game. And I love this. Money back guarantee. Love it. I think Cardboard Alchemy is running a good product. But you just need to know what the product is. Because sometimes I think people get distracted by all of this other stuff and get sucked in by this stuff and then go, oh yeah, there's a game along with that. And if you're okay with that, then great, get this game. This campaign is meant for you. But let's also not confuse it for what it isn't either. So here are all the stretch goals, all of this other stuff, the gameplay videos, a whole bunch of I think these are all previews and gameplay videos. Yeah, these are all that. Shipping is going to cost you $14 on top of this. So it's going to cost you $100 for this deluxe edition before any of the add-ons. When I tell you this is going to be $35 at most at retail from Miniature Market because they have the $5 shipping, even if you don't do the free shipping. $65 difference, folks. Do you have that much money to spare if you're in North America like I am? That is my biggest concern. Again, no one's going to argue the aesthetics. No one's going to argue the amount of content that you're getting. It's just how much are you valuing the deluxe edition now versus the standard edition later? And that is what you need to be thinking about. Are you okay with this stylistic of game in terms of theme, in terms of, more importantly, the actual get to the table gameplay? So there you go, Flamecraft. I mean, look, I'm not backing it. I am not a worker placement person. No qualms about saying it. But I think the apt comparisons to those other games that I mentioned needs to be said. Because, I think this one is a little bit less likely to hold its value on the secondary market. Because again, 20,000 backers, if it holds true, if I make up this statistic that let's say 1%, let's just say 1% of backers flip their game. 1% of 2,000 is a whole lot less than 1% of 20,000. Which means that there is more of a market saturation, which means that there's going to be more competition to sell. More supply means that the price point goes down. So, what cost you $80 plus shipping? Is it going to net you $80 plus shipping 6 months after you get it? And I'm not sure that the value would hold from that side of things. So would you be okay with keeping it or selling it for a loss. That's what you have to look at. Not this is going to hold or this is going to be flippable from a, I'm going to make money on this if I don't like it. Again, another avenue that you got to be aware of. Looks like a solid game, a solid lighter Euro worker style game. Looks like fun. But is it right for you? That's what you got to ask. And hopefully this video helped you answer the question for yourself. That's all I got. It was longer than I thought it was going to be in the first place. But hopefully it's helpful for you. As always, thanks for putting up with me. Thanks for my rambling. Stay classy. Have a great day. Like, comment, or subscribe because I like to just interact with you guys as well. So have a great day. I really appreciate you taking the time to watch this. See you around.